They wanted a reaction from you. They expected anger. They expected explanations. They expected you to defend yourself, argue back, and prove your worth. But you did something they never prepared for. You stayed silent. And somehow, that silence spoke louder than every word they wanted to hear. Have you ever noticed how some people become uncomfortable when they cannot control your emotions? How they push buttons, repeat old accusations, spread rumors, or throw subtle insults, not because they are strong, but because they are desperately searching for a response. Most people believe power belongs to the loudest voice in the room, the person who argues better, the person who always has the last word. But the ancient Stoics understood something different. Real power appears when you no longer feel compelled to react. Imagine a lake on a stormy day. The wind attacks the surface, creating waves and chaos. But deep beneath the surface, the water remains still. That is the image of a Stoic mind. Throughout history, wise men and women have faced criticism, betrayal, humiliation, and provocation. Yet many of them discovered a strange truth. The moment they stopped feeding conflict, conflict began to lose its power over them. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." But what does that actually look like in real life? What happens inside people when they try to provoke you and fail? Why does silence often create more impact than confrontation? And why do those who underestimate your quietness often become the ones most disturbed by it? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you may never respond to provocation the same way again. Part 1. The trap they wanted you to enter. Most people think conflict begins with insults, criticism, or disrespect. In reality, conflict often begins with emotional bait. Someone says something unfair. Someone questions your character. Someone intentionally misunderstands your intentions. And instantly, your mind starts building a defense. You rehearse arguments in your head. You imagine what you should say. You feel a burning need to correct them, but this is exactly where the trap is hidden. The Stoics believed that external events have no power over us until we surrender our inner judgment to them. Think about a fisherman casting a hook into the water. The hook itself is harmless. The danger begins when the fish bites. Provocative people operate the same way. Their words are the hook. Your reaction is the bite. The moment you react impulsively, you hand over your emotional freedom. Now the conversation is no longer about truth. It becomes about control. This is why some people seem strangely disappointed when you remain calm. They were not seeking understanding. They were seeking access to your emotions, access to your peace, access to your attention. And when they fail to get it, they are forced to confront something they rarely encounter, a person who cannot be manipulated. Imagine standing before a mirror that refuses to reflect anger. No matter how much negativity is thrown toward it, nothing comes back. Eventually, the aggressor begins facing themselves. This is one of the hidden powers of silence. Silence removes fuel from emotional fires. Silence exposes intentions. Silence reveals who was seeking resolution and who was seeking drama. And perhaps the most powerful realization is this: not every attack deserves a defense. Not every accusation deserves an explanation. Not every misunderstanding deserves your energy, because sometimes your peace is worth more than being understood by people committed to misunderstanding you. The moment you stop reacting to every invitation to conflict, you begin reclaiming ownership of your mind. And that is where true Stoic strength begins. Part 2. Why your silence disturbs them more than your words ever could. When someone provokes you, they usually create a story in their mind before you even respond. They imagine the argument. They imagine your defense. They imagine your frustration. In a way, they have already written the script, and all they need is for you to play your role. But when you remain silent, something unexpected happens. The script breaks. Suddenly, they no longer know what to do. Because silence creates uncertainty, and uncertainty is uncomfortable for people who seek control. Think about a chess player planning 10 moves ahead. They feel confident because they can predict the game. Now imagine their opponent making a move they never anticipated. Everything changes, the certainty disappears, the confidence weakens. The entire strategy must be reconsidered. This is exactly what silence does. When you refuse to react emotionally, you become unpredictable, and there is immense power in being unpredictable. The ancient philosopher Epictetus taught that no person can harm your mind without your permission. Most people hear this and think it sounds poetic, but in practice it is revolutionary, because it means your emotional state does not belong to other people. It belongs to you. The problem is that many people unknowingly hand over that ownership every day. One comment ruins their mood. One criticism destroys their confidence. One insult occupies their thoughts for weeks. But the Stoic learns a different way. Instead of asking, "How do I respond to this person?" they ask, "Why does this deserve my response at all?" Notice the difference. One question focuses on the attacker, the other focuses on yourself, and that shift changes everything. Many people assume silence is weakness because they confuse restraint with fear. But restraint is not fear. Restraint is strength under control. A river appears calm on the surface, yet beneath it flows incredible force. Likewise, a silent person is not necessarily powerless. Often they are powerful enough to choose where their energy goes. This is why silence can feel unsettling to those who provoke others. Your reaction would have given them certainty. Your silence gives them questions. Questions like, did my words affect them? Why aren't they angry? Why aren't they defending themselves? Why do they seem unaffected? And while they search for answers, you remain free. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply when he reminded himself that the opinions of others belong to them, not to you. What a liberating thought. Not every judgment is your burden to carry. Not every opinion deserves space inside your mind. And sometimes the strongest statement you can make is no statement at all, because silence does something arguments rarely achieve. It protects your peace. It preserves your dignity. And it reminds everyone, including yourself, that your emotions are not available for public control. The moment people realize they cannot manipulate your reactions, they lose one of their greatest sources of power over you. And that is when the balance begins to shift. Part 3. The moment silence becomes self-respect. For years, many people live as prisoners of other people's opinions. They explain, they justify, they defend. They try to convince everyone that they are good enough, honest enough, worthy enough. And yet, no matter how many explanations they give, some people remain determined to misunderstand them. Why? Because understanding was never their goal. Their goal was control. And the day you understand this is the day your relationship with silence changes forever. Silence is no longer avoidance. Silence becomes self-respect. Imagine carrying a bucket of water through a desert. Every argument, every unnecessary explanation, every attempt to prove yourself is like pouring a little more water onto the sand. Eventually, you become exhausted. Not because life is difficult, but because you are constantly spending energy where it cannot grow. The Stoics understood that attention is one of life's most valuable resources. Where attention goes, energy follows. And where energy goes, life follows. So ask yourself, how much of your life has been spent trying to convince people who had already made up their minds? How many nights have been lost replaying conversations that changed nothing? How many opportunities for peace have been sacrificed for the hope of being understood? At some point, wisdom begins whispering a difficult truth. Not everyone deserves an explanation, not because they are bad people, but because some people are committed to seeing only what confirms their beliefs. Carl Jung observed that people often see not reality itself, but their own projections reflected back at them. This means that no amount of explaining can force someone to see what they refuse to see. And that realization can feel heartbreaking. Yet it is also incredibly freeing, because once you stop trying to control how others perceive you, you can finally focus on controlling what truly matters: your character, your actions, your principles, your peace. Think of a mountain standing through storms. The mountain does not argue with the wind. It does not defend itself against the rain. It simply remains what it is: strong, grounded, unmoved. That is the image of mature silence. Not silence born from fear, not silence born from weakness, but silence born from certainty. The certainty that your worth does not increase when praised, and it does not decrease when criticized. The certainty that people who genuinely care will seek understanding, and those who do not were never looking for it in the first place. This is the hidden transformation that many never reach. At first, silence feels like discipline. Then it becomes confidence. Eventually, it becomes identity. You stop chasing validation. You stop chasing approval. You stop chasing the last word, because you finally discover something far more valuable: inner peace. And once a person experiences that kind of peace, they become very difficult to provoke, because they no longer need to win arguments. They have already won something much greater. They have won themselves. Part 4. Your silence was never weakness. It was victory. Most people are taught that winning means overcoming an opponent. Winning means proving a point. Winning means having the final word. Winning means watching the other person admit they were wrong. But life has a way of teaching a deeper lesson, because if you have lived long enough, you know that some battles have no finish line. Some arguments never end. Some people never apologize. Some critics never become supporters. Some misunderstandings never get corrected. And yet, despite all of that, peace remains possible. This is the final Stoic secret. Victory is not always external. Often, victory is internal. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, commanded armies, and faced endless criticism. Yet one of his greatest insights was remarkably simple. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Think about that for a moment. Not power over people's opinions, not power over their behavior, not power over their choices, only power over yourself. And strangely enough, that is more than enough. Because when someone tries to provoke you, they are offering you a trade. They offer anger in exchange for peace, chaos in exchange for clarity, emotional slavery in exchange for temporary satisfaction. The question is whether you accept the trade. For many years, perhaps you did. Most of us have. We reacted. We argued. We chased understanding from people who never intended to understand. We lost sleep over words spoken by people who would not remember them the next day. But eventually something changes. You begin to recognize the pattern. You begin to see how much energy has been wasted fighting battles that never deserved your attention. And gradually, a new strength emerges. The strength to walk away, the strength to remain calm, the strength to let people think what they want, the strength to protect your inner world. This is not weakness. Weakness reacts automatically. Strength chooses deliberately. Weakness is controlled by circumstances. Strength remains guided by principles. Weakness seeks revenge. Strength seeks freedom. And freedom is what silence ultimately gives you. Not the silence of suppression, not the silence of fear, but the silence of mastery. The silence of a person who understands that every reaction is a choice. The silence of a person who knows their value without needing constant validation. The silence of a person who has stopped handing strangers the keys to their emotional life. Because the truth is this: the people who tried to provoke you thought they were testing your patience. What they were actually revealing was your growth. They expected the old version of you, the impulsive version, the reactive version, the version that would chase, defend, explain, and fight. But that version no longer exists, and that realization unsettles them far more than any argument ever could. So the next time someone tries to pull you into unnecessary conflict, remember this: you do not have to attend every battle you are invited to. You do not have to answer every accusation. You do not have to react to every opinion. Sometimes the strongest move is stillness. Sometimes the wisest response is silence. And sometimes the most powerful victory is the one nobody sees. A victory that happens entirely within. Because in the end, they tried to provoke you. They expected you to break. They expected you to react. They expected you to lose yourself. But you remained silent. And that silence won. Before you leave, take a moment and ask yourself, who in your life still has the power to disturb your peace? And more importantly, why have you given them that power? The Stoics believed that freedom begins the moment you reclaim ownership of your mind. Perhaps today is that moment for you. If this message resonated with you, remember, silence is not the absence of strength. Sometimes silence is strength in its purest form. The world will always contain noise, criticism, and provocation. But your greatest power will always be your ability to remain centered while others lose themselves in the storm. Stay calm, stay grounded, and let your silence speak where words no longer need to.